Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, we're going to take a look in a book, a legacy book, and it's written by John Ostrander. This is issues 36 through 40. What is going on in this world? So what you have is Stasi and Fail are kind of making a strike against the Sith. They're trying to battle back against Darth Krayt and his forces. Meanwhile, Black Sun is pirating from the Empire. Cade is pirating from Black Sun and the Empire. Cade's just causing all types of chaos, and so Black Sun and the Empire are going after him. In fact, his mom, Morgan Cade or whatever, is tracking down her son yet again. Now this time it's for different purposes, but she's tracking down her son with someone from Fail's world, I believe it's Fail's world, but Gunnar Yaj, who is an okay, interesting character, but now they're teaming up to track down and find Cade Skywalker. Now, I want to kind of take a break here to talk about something I missed a long time ago. Cole Skywalker, one of his dreams, he had teamed up with a Vong shaper, I believe, and they were trying to de-Vongify all these planets that had kind of gotten out of control. And there's planets we'll read about. I think you go to a few of these planets in the series. But this is something that Cade was a big passion about, was trying to cure these worlds. Now, if you think about it, Legacy happened right after, it was at the tail end of New Jedi Order. So it's fresh in everyone's mind. Remember, I told you that Sin even dealt with razor bugs and all sorts of illegal Vong weapons back then that were banned in the Republic. So, or in the Galactic Alliance, I should say. So the thing is, I liked that. I loved it, actually, that the Vong invasion for New Jedi Order had a big impact years into the future. Where the fault comes from is from Del Rey, who didn't mention New Jedi Order at all, hardly, after they finished it. It's like they just wiped their feet off the rug and just kept going on to the different story. They didn't talk about the lasting effects of this huge war that had just happened. Now, I know it's Star Wars, right? We have one big war, one big crisis, we move on to the next. But New Jedi Order, well, I mean, quadrillions of people died, not just trillions, quadrillions of people died. It was the biggest, darkest hour for the entire galaxy. So I didn't like how, I thought the comic books did a great job, because yes, that should have lasting effects for decades, right? For over a century, it should have a big impact on how it reshape how we look at our galaxy now. But yet in Del Rey, it's like, it's hardly even mentioned. It's never even mentioned, hardly. I mean, where it's convenient, they'll mention it. Other than that, move on to the next story. And I thought Del Rey, this is something that, very oddly, I always talk about how great Del Rey did a good job of. This is one thing I didn't like. I thought the comic books, which usually I'm always against what Dark Horse is doing, was putting out back then, but this time they got it right, I think. When you have such a big, impactful battle that took place, a war that went on, you definitely want to feel its impacts. Now, the other stuff, yeah, it wasn't as big. Nothing compares to the complete and utter disaster that the aftermath of New Jedi Order incurred. I don't know why you kind of ignore it and move on in the books. I mean, yeah, not to say it has to be a focal point, but talk about people trying to struggle and rebuild their lives after the Vong. It may have been mentioned as a throwaway sentence here or there in the books, but I don't remember it ever being as impactful as it was in Legacy, the comic book series. And that's a big thank you to John Ostrander, because, like I said, I think he made a conscious effort to look at the books, look what they were doing, and make sure and say, okay, that was a big battle, right? You guys said that was the biggest thing the galaxy has ever seen. Okay, I'm going to make that impactful, years and decades ahead into the future. Good call. That was the right call, John. Unfortunately, Del Rey, who created their own story, never looked back, just moved forward. And I thought that was a mistake. And I thought it was a mistake because it passed up some potentially good story arcs too. The after effects of a battle, of a war like that, really have compelling stories to tell. They've made tons of movies about them too, so why not put something like that in the books? The books didn't do it. Dark Horse, in this case of the Legacy comic book series, did, and for that I am thankful. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with another video.